Welcome to this explainer. Have you ever wondered if the spiritual journey could actually be quantified? Like, imagine if we could map out human consciousness the exact same way we map levels in a video game, where reaching that ultimate state of being isn't just some vague, floaty concept, but a literal, measurable, numerical high score. Well, today we're unpacking a really fascinating philosophical text from 2016 by an author named Xu Feng that does exactly that. The source material basically gamifies human consciousness into this highly specific scoring system. The whole idea we're exploring today proposes that our emotions, our mindsets, our very spiritual essence, they can all be calculated. And throughout this explainer, we're going to look at the exact blueprint this text offers for trying to hit that absolute maximum level. Let's take a quick look at our quest log for this explainer. First, the energy scale of life. Second, checkpoint 1, soul garden. Third, checkpoint 2, worldly ties. And fourth, checkpoint 3, accumulating merit. All right, section 1, the energy scale of life. So what exactly is the ultimate goal we're talking about here? Well, according to the author, climbing to the absolute peak of life requires reaching an ultimate consciousness energy level of exactly 1,000. The text actually claims that scientists have quantified the peak of life as a vibrational frequency hitting this precise number. It's not a scale out of 10 or 100 or even a million. The ceiling of existence, the absolute highest state a human can theoretically achieve in this philosophy, is 1,000. And if your consciousness reaches that number, the author states you've effectively climbed to the peak of both life and, capital L life. Now, this naturally begs a pretty engaging question, right? If 1,000 is the ultimate high score, how do humanity's most famous historical figures perform on this scale? I mean, we all know historical giants who completely changed the world, but how does their worldly success actually translate to their consciousness energy level? When we compare energy levels across humanity, a really stark contrast is revealed. The vast majority of everyday people score somewhere below 200, and we're going to unpack why that specific number is so incredibly critical in just a moment. But moving up the scale, we see scientific geniuses, like Albert Einstein, for example, reaching a level of 499. And then, jumping significantly higher, we see spiritual giants like Mother Teresa, who the text notes was observed hitting a remarkable 700. It suggests this really fascinating dynamic where pure intellect and scientific brilliance get you, well, roughly halfway up the scale, but profound spiritual alignment and love, that pushes you significantly higher. Looking at even more precise rankings, the author posits some highly specific numbers for a few historical icons. You've got the great inventor, Thomas Edison, sitting at 470, and Madame Curie just edging past the 500 mark at 505. Then the text moves into the great philosophers. Confucius is placed at 590 and Zhuangzi at 710. But sitting at the absolute maximum, literally maxing out the ultimate 1,000 level, we have figures like Laozi. The source notes that in thousands of years of human history, individuals hitting 1,000 are extremely rare. The author lists figures like Laozi, Buddha Shakyamuni, and Jesus Christ as the known examples of people who actually reached the celestial peak. Moving on to section 2, checkpoint 1, soul garden. The philosophy lays out an exact 3-step roadmap for reaching what it calls the state of eightfold liberation. The journey begins with mental purification, specifically cultivating what is called the soul garden. From there, you move through severing worldly ties, and finally, you conclude with accumulating merit. The author is very, very clear that achieving this is not an overnight process. You can't just skip straight to the end. You absolutely have to pass through these 3 checkpoints sequentially. So, how exactly do you pass this first checkpoint? Well, the author insists you must clear your mental garden of toxic weeds. And by weeds, the text means jealousy, anger, greed, hatred, fear, pride, laziness, selfishness, sorrow, and desire. The text treats the mind literally like a garden. If you let these weeds grow, they just choke out any chance of increasing your vibrational frequency. The author states that without thoroughly eliminating these feelings, your energy level will simply hover at a low baseline. It's a foundational prerequisite. I mean, you can't plant beautiful flowers in soil that's completely overrun with toxic plants, right? All other spiritual efforts are considered in vain until this mental purification takes place. Now, the most crucial dividing line in this entire system is the number 200. It's the great watershed mark of human consciousness. The text posits that a score below 200 carries negative energy, and furthermore, actually makes an individual prone to illness. Conversely, any score above 200 carries positive energy and keeps one free from illness. So, in this framework, crossing that 200 threshold isn't just about feeling a bit better spiritually. It's framed as an absolute necessity for your fundamental physical and mental well-being. And the text assigns devastatingly low scores to negative emotions. For instance, shame sits at a mere 20. Just think about how heavy and paralyzing shame feels. It's at the very bottom of the scale. Fear is only at 100, which is still well below that critical 200 survival line. Conversely, high-frequency states soar upwards. Love blasts all the way up to the 500 mark. Joy pushes past it to 540, and states of peace and happiness hit 600. The source argues that by actively shifting your mindset away from the weeds of fear or shame and consciously maintaining a state of joy and love, you rapidly elevate your frequency out of the danger zone and right up toward the peak. That brings us to Section 3, Checkpoint 2, Worldly Ties. The author states something really profound here. Debt entanglements and deep worldly ties prevent one from feeling peaceful and joyous, and they cannot escape the gravitational pull of life. That is such a powerful visualization, isn't it? The gravitational pull of life. The whole philosophy here is that unresolved debts, whether we're talking financial debts, emotional debts, or karmic obligations, they act like heavy weights tied directly to your ankles. You simply cannot escape gravity, nor can you find true peace if you're weighed down by these worldly entanglements. So to raise your energy level, the text demands that you settle these accounts and completely sever these draining ties. And finally, Section 4, Checkpoint 3, Accumulating Merit. To finally reach that coveted 1,000 level and complete the climb, the text outlines that merit is the ultimate key. You must selflessly contribute. You must always give more than you take. You must perform acts of charity without ever seeking a reward, accumulating your treasures in heaven rather than on earth. The source strongly emphasizes that without this active, selfless outward contribution, you can literally never reach the peak. But the author promises that if you consistently live this way, everything will naturally fall into place when the time is right, just like fruit that ripens and naturally falls from the tree. We've explored a massive philosophical journey today, from the 1,000-point scale of existence, through the historical rankings of great minds, all the way down to the daily work of pulling emotional weeds and severing ties. As we wrap up this explainer, I'll leave you to reflect on your own energy level by asking a very practical question. What specific weeds do you need to pull from your own mind today to start raising your frequency? Is it a lingering resentment? Is it a hidden fear? Identifying that weed is your very first step to leveling up. Thanks so much for diving into this fascinating framework with me, and I hope it sparks some truly great insights for your own journey.